Right, you guys ready?
ComX presents.
Alex, not yet. Lauren, what are you doing?
Making everything look sexy and chilling.
By the way, I don't want to eat anyone's thumbnails.
Thanks, Nick May, for that's super helpful. Can we just get the show going?
ComX net, net. Is it ComX net AU? Or,
Are you ready for drinking? Drawing? What about laughing? Well, hold on to your crumpets. It's season 2 of the ComX Friday Night Drink and Draw, with your hosts Sizzle and Spedsy, and the man they call Quick, plus Australia's most attractive artists and creators, many of whom have books for sale at comx.shop. Alright Dave, you can start drawing.
Yeah, if you can make sense of it, good luck. Welcome to Friday Night's Drink and Draw, brought to you by ComX Studio. We're here drawing characters from pop culture. This week we have Lobo from DC, I almost forgot who we have. And we have as our spotlight guest, KT Hollyword.
Lobo and his Space Hog. Easy, Dave. It's the name of his motorbike. Don't get carried away.
Space Hog. Right.
Now, guys, something a little special for your introductions today. I'm going to delve deep. Nicholas Cleary, the distant son of a cleric. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. It's good to be back.
Peter Lawson, son of Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, okay. Whatever you reckon.
Yeah, that's true. Alistair Lockhart, Scottish herdman in charge of sheep.
How did you know?
This is all true. I've Wikipedia'd you all. Nicholas May, otherwise known as a term of endearment or greeting given to a young person. May.
Hello.
Christopher Pitcairn, Christos meaning leader. Welcome.
Oh,
Nice.
Not thrilled with his introduction.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's wrong, but it's good.
Sure. Lee Chalker, I believe your people once lived on chalky ground. Now I looked that up. It's a real thing. So
See the things you learn, when you come on this show. It's
That's
unbelievable. I've often felt like I've walked chalky ground before, man.
Are you ready for this one, Dave? Your Di is the pet name of a medieval English female of the given name, Dionysia, and they called her Di for short. The divine one of Nysia.
Dionysia. Isn't am I thinking Dionysius, the god of wine and having good times?
Dionysus.
Yeah, it's your family, Dave. You should know. I don't know. I just
It's a long way
Googled
back.
And then KT Hollywood. It was tough to find the meaning of Hollywood other than where they make movies. But Catherine, Katie, meaning pure. Welcome to the show, the pure one, KT Hollywood.
Don't know if that's accurate, but thank you.
And yes, Dave, the man who rides his space hog, we are drawing Lobo. Now, Dave, we defer to you first every episode as the expert on all things pop culture. So, Dave, tell us who Lobo is and what his powers are.
Well, Lobo is a Zarnian. He comes from Zarnia. He was the last Zarnia, actually. Oh no, he wasn't, because there was one last one was his old kindergarten teacher. But he lives in space. He's got.
This isn't the joke. The joke is you're not meant to know. What are you doing?
Dave,
okay, keep going.
He is one bad fella, one bad dude. You don't want to be mucking around with him. Don't get on the wrong side of Lobo. He'll sort you
out. Well, yes. So Lobo was created by Roger Sifler and Keith Giffen for DC Comics. Does anyone know where he first appeared? Who's got a guess?
Amiga Man. Amiga Man, like 2 or 3, and he looked a bit like a clown. Is that right?
I can't clarify the clown bit, but yes, Omega Man. What about the year?
Sure.
An issue 3.
Like 1982 or something?
Do you have Wikipedia open in front of you, Nick? Are you kidding? It was 1983, but I like that you were like, I'm going to get close enough that it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, and they won't know that I'm reading it. So he is an alien born of the utopian planet. What's it called, Dave?
Zarnia.
Zarnia.
CZARNIA.
And he works as a interstellar mercenary and bounty hunter. He's looking for those chocolate bars with the coconut.
Yes, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason he's the last Zarnian is because he killed all the rest of them himself.
Oh, really?
He came up with a species of insect as a scorpion type wasp, and he inflicted his whole planet with them, and they all died.
Wow.
Except him, of course.
I had no idea.
And
I just think Lobo's not that nice of a guy.
That's him.
No,
He's a bad.
he's a super, super, super bad dude, and does things like the scene that I found most funny was he was waiting in line for an ATM. And it says only 2 transactions, and he says, "All right, I'm going to teach you to count." And he tears off each of his arms and says, 1, 2. There you go. You got it. So, and that was just a minor fit of pique.
Wow. And that was in 1983, before ATM machines and mobile phones. That's crazy.
No, that was a bit later on. I think that was 1989 that one came out. But yeah, he's a super bad dude. He's got a mean streak, miles wide.
So he was introduced as a hardened villain, but soon fell into obscurity until his revival as an anti-hero in the 1990s. Nick, were you reading those books in the 1990s?
I was.
Yeah,
guilty.
they were unreal. And
Me too.
there didn't seem to be any connection, really, to what he used to look like. So he was this dude originally with like a slick back bob cut and sort of a pink jumpsuit or something. And then when Keith Giffen sort of revived him with Simon Bisley, it was just like, is this even the same character? It was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Keith Giffen in Infanticide? That was incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my god. It changed my life, I reckon. Yeah.
Whoa,
Nice.
wow, that was quick.
That's so quick.
So, Katie, what else would you have been reading around the same time as you're reading this Lobo?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was heavily reading Lobo actually. I followed Lobo for a long while. I was a huge Bisley fan. Huge Bisley fan. I think my love of Slain in 2000 AD was what started my whole mind expansion of what comics could be. I'd been buying news agency comics before that, and I was like, these are awesome. But then I picked up 2000 AD, and I was like, this is what you can do. And it changed my world, my life. And any of those British comics at the time, ABC Warriors, Strontium Dogs, or anything by Mike McMahon, Keith Giffen, all those guys that were like pioneering ink and slinging it crazy around that time were incredible for anything that Kent Williams did, Bill Sienkiewicz, John J. Muth, all those guys that were painting comics and making them just extraordinary. Like Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown.
Yeah.
That was an amazing series. Keith Giffen was a huge influence on me, actually, and Mike McMahon, a heavy influence for me in the early ABC Warrior days. So most of the British comics that were coming out, the painterly work as well. I did read a lot of Deadpool as well. I was a big fan of Deadpool, just for the sheer lunacy of it. It wasn't really art-centric for me at the time with Deadpool. I was mostly interested in British comics for the painted work. And anything that came out of 2000 AD at that time was blowing my mind. So I kind of just followed all of their careers from where they all came, and anything Biz did at the time was I'd never seen anything like it. Alistair, you were saying, like that energy that he had. People were painting, and it was the McFarlane time. It was the era of Green Lightning, the era of Spawn. Where everyone was like, "Ooh, this is Jim Lee. This is the halcyon days of pioneering in comics for getting crazy." You got the earlier days where you were in cult, and Golden Age, Silver Age, when and everyone was like, "Oh, okay," and then the 60s and the 70s games, and then Kirby was psychedelic, pushed it to that point, and everyone kind of pulled off of Kirby and went past that point, and we're like, "Okay, so Kirby can do whatever he wants." He's made entire universes. Then Bill Sienkiewicz takes over and goes, to pay respect to the late Neil Adams. I'd like to pay respect on this show to the great late Neil Adams, as well, George Perez as well. These giants of our industry that we owe so much to. These are big shoes to even remotely follow in medium. So I want to pay homage to them while we're even talking just right now. None of this would be, I don't even think I'd be able to do what I do without these people, for them pioneering the medium. So long and the short is British comics. And once you get me started, I won't stop.
No,
so,
please. Keep going. I got nowhere to be.
So yeah, I wanted to ask you why you chose Simon Bisley for the topic today. Why Lobo?
Yes, is. Why'd you choose?
Why did I pick Lobo? It was random. To be honest, it was random. I got a list, and I just went, "That's one of the few names I recognize, so I'll pick it."
Do you know how funny that is? Because Simon Bisley is actually one of my best friends.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Oh, right.
I was on the phone.
Watching?
I was on the phone with him this morning.
Is he watching? Did you tell him to watch? Did you tell him to tune in?
No, he was having a go at someone when we were on the phone. He's fiery. He's so fiery. No,
So maybe you could tell us. Maybe you could tell us what happened.
I can tell you. I can give you a fair idea. Well, he obviously he got celebrated. He got treated like a rock star, and everyone was really enjoying him. Him and Kevin Eastman were spending a lot of time together, enjoying that circuit and pushing the boundaries in heavy metal. I think he did a lot of FAC covers and a lot of heavy metal covers with Julie Strain, and he got into the covers, and you like the freedom of covers. Not a lot as pressure as the sequential stuff. And I think because he's such an idiosyncratic artist, if he's not feeling it, he just doesn't want to do it. And I honestly don't think he got enough respect and acknowledgement for his co-creation in Lobo. I think he was with Giffen at the time, and him and Giffen go back and forward all the time when they were doing the sketches for Lobo. And I think maybe, I know his opinion on this, but I'm ad-libbing from my opinion, is that it kind of, all the rights went to other people, all the ownership, everyone took over. And when he got handed Lobo to, when it was on his desk, him and Keith Giffen were going back and forward, and he's got nothing but kind words to say about Keith Giffen. There's no bad blood anywhere. But he, Biz added the chains, he added the hooks, he added many, many components to what makes Lobo. You can see, if you've hung out with Biz, he is Lobo. And I think the energy that he put across in the way he sculpted him when they were working, him and Keith Giffen together, get the accolades that were due to him, and probably still hasn't. And so that's good to point out on the show, is that for history's sake, for my friend Biz, I know exactly how much he put into that when they were working together. It was about 50-50. So I think towards that part of his career after 2000 AD, that lack of acknowledgement probably pulled some wind out of his sails, because it was his child. It was his, everyone remembers Bez's run on Lobo. I mean, it was like pivotal, right? It was like,
It made the character. The only reason anybody knows about Lobo today is because of that
100%.
work.
100%. And and his painterly style. I think he had put too much on him in the 90s. Like he had the success, and then there was the weight of that. And then he wanted to pull back from it. It got a bit too much. Not for him. I think he just wanted to do commissions and slow down a bit and enjoy being an artist versus being so in the hot seat of it. And I think he did some incredible work on the Bible, if you remember that. Do you remember that?
I remember there was a whole series of sketches that were the Stations of the Cross, and the one that I remember was the Virgin getting her blessing from an angel.
Yeah, that's the Bible
that
series.
image is burned into my brain. It's just astonishing. If I could do one drawing that cool in my life. But that's an unfinished project as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, like, I've seen he's done a lot of underground sequential stuff as well. I mean, actually, you guys will enjoy this, right? I'm going to show this because it's like important to me. This is a drawing he did for me, and it is. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
He did the
Wow.
that's an original. First, actually, to be seen.
That's a painting. Yeah.
That's his take on the Frazetta Conan.
Frank Frazetta painting.
Yeah. So he's like constantly working. He's constantly putting stuff out there. Not a lot of people see it, but it still has that energy behind it. I just think he's shied away from the mainstream a bit. To answer your question, no, I don't think like maintaining that veracity in his work is sustainable.
No.
It was so energetic, it was so wild, it was so insane that I don't other than Ralph Steadman, I can't think of another artist that could maintain that level of energy in their work throughout their career. I mean, but so like
there's just so many things that he did that they started and then there was nothing after that. There was one called Bad Boy.
I remember.
Yep.
Was another, and then there was another series called
Nice.
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 Oh,
piece.
nice.
Wow. Very
Yeah,
good,
very
mate.
good.
Gee, that
Love
didn't
that
take
guy.
too long.
I remember that. Yeah.
I remember when I was waiting for Frack to come out, Frack 2 or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
It take forever.
Yeah.
and the stuff that he did with Kevin Eastman.
Yeah, that's right.
Boiling Point,
Oh yeah,
Melting
that's it.
pot?
or was
Melting
it Melting Pot? That was it.
Melting pot, was it? Yeah.
Melting Pot. So Eastman was doing the art and Biz was doing the painting, and that stuff was amazing as well. But it's really difficult to sort of pin down what he was doing because he was all over the place.
Yes.
He did all that Verotica stuff with Danzig.
Yes, all the Veronica titles. Actually, that was I'm glad you brought up that title and that series, because how good was that? I collected all of those.
Brilliant.
All of that. I mean, they were hardcore, man. I would read it for the artists, and I was on the airplane, and I actually was an apprentice underneath Martin Emond and Simon Morse from Eros in New Zealand. I flew over to them and while they were working on Venus Demeanor for Danzig's comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. And we used to work together on that, and I got a stack of comics from Martin Emond to fly back to Australia with on the way back, and they were so hardcore that there was like, I had a woman sitting next to me and she's like, ding, 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 trying to change seats because she's reading over my shoulder. And it was like hardcore graphic, pornographic comics. And I was like, whoa, look at the line work on that. I couldn't even, I wasn't even absorbing the content. Yeah. It was like, awesome. That's pretty much like what it is. And we just send jokes about cheese, really. We're two old English people now. We're not really hardcore. We just talk about our kids. Me and Biz. What are you like? Oh, he's doing all right. But yeah, I would have all these hardcore comics, and I was really only interested in the work. And you'd get these incredible artists come on board, and actually Eric Canet, who was one of the. Do you guys know Eric Canet?
No.
No, don't sorry.
Oh
Don't know
my
that name.
God.
Nick May does.
He was incredible. Do you know Nick? You remember Eric Canet?
Yeah. Did he do some design work for? Oh no, I can't remember. Anyway.
Like he did a lot of stuff, but he worked on a series called Centenary, which was Image. He did a few other one shots and things like that. But he also his biggest run was on Satanica on Verotic Comics, which was incredible, and he pioneered a whole new medium with like that angular kind of mechanical kind of thing. But he was with them, and I would never have discovered his work if I hadn't gone to the XXX rating comics to discover. I was like, you wouldn't have found him. He was under the deeper echelons of hardcore comics that you have to go into the pink light area of the shop to get, and I was working at Alternate Worlds at the time. Do you know that?
No, I worked at Alternate Worlds for 10 years. I mean, obviously,
Worlds for 4 years.
Obviously after you, but my mind is being blown. The show is just doing itself. This is the best. Keep going.
Yeah, I worked at Alternate Worlds. That's how I knew Larry and James.
I wondered that. Yeah. Can we touch on that for just a second? How did you find it?
Alternate Worlds?
Yeah.
Are we going to have a discussion about Pete?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk after the show just to be safe. So our lips can be a bit looser.
I know, because we have to maintain good connections with our store owners. They're the front line.
Yeah.
I thought it was the greatest time of my life, to be honest with you, apart from having my beautiful children, which is thoroughly, fulfilling. Yeah. But, working with Larry, which you obviously experienced as one of the greatest experiences of your life.
Actually, I didn't start working there until they moved. So Larry had finished up. So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. We're buddies. Especially when I started, he was kind of my go-to advice guy. So yeah, we've talked. He's cool. Yeah, and I bought comics from him a lot back in the day too. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I probably bought them from you for all I know.
I was the downstairs counter girl. I remember I was like 23, fresh out of the sticks, like in love with comics. I went down there and then just became part of the family there, and it was the greatest because we would sit around and Larry will think it's hilarious because I always used to read comics and they were like, just put the comics away. I'll be honest, my work ethic was shocking back then. I would just read comics. At least I'm honest. And then, I would read comics, then we'd hang out and talk about comics. Then I'd go home and draw comics, and then we'd go holidaying at San Diego Comic-Con. It was the most saturated comics I think I've ever had in my life. And it was like the greatest. And it was the time when we were all in love with these 90s comics and just, it was power time, we were like, the ride the lightning of comics, the 90s of like, people were like breaking boundaries, man, like left, right, and center, it was exciting, it was exciting to be in comics. Well, if you loved comics, it was super exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
While we're dipping into your life, we might just get to this sooner than later. Just bear
Now
with
is
us
the
for a
part of the
sec.
show where we shine a big shiny spotlight on one of our creator friends. This week, we welcome
Name
and talk about their creative journey. Please, everybody, make some noise for
Name.
So yeah,
Katie.
this week's guest is Katie Hollyword, aka Katie Houghton Ward. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you more questions about the halcyon days, and I just thought, well, we're going to do that anyway. So, tell us, when did your creative journey start in comic books and art and all that good stuff?
It started when I'd been reading comics all through my teens, but then I went to Sydney, and I met this skateboarder in the shop, and he showed me Dave Altenew, who's a great graphic artist. He showed me Hellboy, the comics, and he said to me, "I'm going to be a comic book artist." I went, "No, you're not. People don't do that. You can't be a comic book." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be a comic book artist." I'm like, "You can do that?" And he's like, "I know it sounds ridiculous." Thank you. I was like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I had never thought. I was in Australia, America, didn't, and he's like, "You can do it." The internet wasn't huge then. Everything was back and forward and snail mail, and so then he said, "Yeah, you can do it." And I was like, and it was one of these kind of angelic moments where I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be one." and I kind of was like, from that moment, it was my quest, because I've been drawing and reading, and then I went to England for a while, and then I came back, and I found this music publication in Sydney called 3D World. Do you guys remember that? It's the music mag.
No.
And they had no.
From Melbourne, we had Beat and Impress. That was it.
Yeah, it was Beat. It was like Beat, but it was Sydney.
Right.
And I went, "There's no comic in here." So I went into their headquarters. I went up to editorial. This is a time in comics where it was relatively, you could walk in and kind of go, "I'm going to do this because I don't see anyone else doing this. I'm going to try." So I walked up to the editorial and talked with them, and I said, "This is what I do. I draw comics. Can I get one in your sequence, in your series, in your strip?" And they were like, yeah, that sounds great. And I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, every week." I'm like, "Every week?" And they're like, "Every week." Okay, good. That's what I want too. So, and then I had to come in really quickly with pulling out a full, because I wrote them all as well, a full-page comic every week for this music mag. And I did that for 5 years, every week.
And what was the comic about? Like, was it meant to be funny or?
Oh, so weird. It was I had this really dry humor. Yeah, the 90s. I had this really dry humor, and a lot of it, I think one of my biggest fans was Dave Paskovich from Arsenic Lullaby in Milwaukee. And I think he was one of the very rare people that actually got any of it. That most people were like, "What does this mean? This is so strange." So it was existential comedy. It started off being a comic about my boyfriend who was a DJ, and I couldn't handle it because it was just, the industry was not too much for me. I was this little indie comic book girl, and everyone was all like, "Yo, let's up, yo," and I'm like, "Oh my God," so I had to write a comic about it, because I go to all these gigs sitting in the back going, "Oh, don't yo me so much." So I wrote a comic about the trials and chagrin of being a +1. And then it turned into a very strange comic that went for 5 years, and I had a good fan base. and it was a lot of fun. And then I started working on a series.
Were they
with,
paying you? Were they paying you for the?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
they were
cool.
paying me.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so then then I
Well,
started working with Douglas Paskovich from Arsenic Lullaby on Laughter Band. Oh, we've lost Alistair. Yeah. Are you okay?
that's all right. It was just a minor earthquake. I'll be fine.
And yeah, then I started working. I went to San Diego Comic-Con a few times to pitch my work for some of the major titles over there and get my portfolio ripped to shreds.
And what was that? What was that like?
The first experience was harrowing because you kind of go, oh, I'm pretty good. I'm just going to go to Comic-Con and open up my work. And then you get there and you're like, I'm not going to open it. And I'm just going to sit here and smile vacantly because there's so much talent there. And you really get to see just how far you've got to go in the best way. It's sobering. And I think the first time I showed my work there, I had a Dark Horse review. That was great, and they were really helpful. So was Marvel, so was DC. You know, and then I got some great advice. I wasn't very good back then. I mean, like I had promise, I had some slight ability, but I wasn't working hard enough at all. I wasn't. I don't think I was respectful enough to the level of work you need to put into storytelling. I was like, you know, I was Spawn and one shot splash pages. Let's splash page everything. You know, like everywhere. It was Jim Lee. You're like, yeah, Jim Lee. You know, so you just kind of don't go storytelling. Like, what? You know, you don't really even think about that you're telling a story. You're like, yeah, he's coming in there as Jim Lee. And then, and so you kind of, but then I went there and I talked to a lot of really amazing people. Neil Adams was one of them who was incredible and giving me a lot of advice. And a lot of people were really, really helpful, actually. No one in the industry in the professional league had ever made me feel uncomfortable, that I couldn't ask them questions. It was the most welcoming, humbled. I couldn't believe I could walk up to my heroes like Mike Mignola. I thought he was the guy selling prints. Like he was, I thought he was selling badges because I walked into the main foyer with my little backpack on. I was 24. I was all like, this is awesome. And looking around, the first person I saw was like a short guy, unassuming with glasses at the front, scribbling away with some prints in front of him. And I was like, oh yeah, awesome. Prints, I'm going to get some. And then I was like, Hellboy prints. Oh, I love Hellboy. It's the greatest. Mignola is my hero. And then I look up and I'm like, Mignola is the best, hey? And he looks at me and he goes, yeah. And then I went, I was like, do you know him? And then he went, and like they all have these really little name badges, right? Which is really mean. Like because they should be big. Because and then I'm like, because Mike's like, and I look at his badge and it says Mike Mignola, and I'm like, and then I was really uncomfortable. I was like, started breathing uncomfortably, and he kept looking at me, and my face is blood dripping, like white. And he's like, it's okay, take a minute. Like he's obviously had this experience before.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a print and a mouse pad out of like, I think sympathy, because I think he thought I was special needs towards the end. And I was like, ha ha, yeah. And it happened all the time. The same thing happened with Jeff Darrow. I think that was too much. Like I was looking at, I was like, oh, I was like, oh, is this original Jeff Darrow art? Oh my God, I've never seen it close up. And he goes, well, yeah, I hope so. I think it is. And I was like, oh, you're a funny guy, Jeff Darrow. And then I did the whole Elaine push him off the spin chair. Out. Like, it happened all the way. Yo. Exactly. That's what it was like. Yeah, so to answer your question, I did get a lot of really positive feedback at Comic-Con, but I felt very amateur for a long time, and I don't think it was until when I met Bisley for the first time. Do you want to hear that? Or do you
Of course.
Yep.
All right. And so I thought he was reclusive. I never thought I'd meet him ever in my life. I just written it off. Like, he was like the enigma. You're never going to meet him. He lives in a house in Kent. That's it. And then I saw him at a table in San Diego Comic-Con. It was the third time I'd gone. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna meet him. And I lined up. And you've all had fanboy moments, right? You must have. You've all had these moments where you're like,
Every time I see Rob.
right? And so I was working up to it. I could be in the room with movie stars. Thank you. I could be in the room with movie stars and not pack a sweat. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Yeah, it's Jason. No, whatever. Great guy. You're awesome. But these guys, they make me cold sweats. I freak out. I've got so much respect for these people because I know how much work they've done and how many hours. Thousands of hours, and so they do make me a bit, I'm not worthy.
AP
So
castrated Jason Momoa says he doesn't work hard enough for her to get flustered over.
who doesn't make Jason Momoa doesn't work hard enough?
Well, that's what you insinuated. You said Jason Momoa doesn't get you sweaty. But then these other guys get you sweaty because of how much they work.
Hard.
I don't
want to throw shade. He's a really lovely person. I don't want to throw shade on him. He's very sweet. He totally different industry. And so
how did you meet Jason Momoa?
Oh, I don't know. You get thrown in the same room as people sometimes, in the green rooms at places.
I mean, I had my mower man. His name was Jason, and I put his name in my phone as Jason Momoa Man. that's as close as I've gotten to meeting the real Jason Momoa.
He's really nice. He's a very nice, sweet guy, and a lot of fun, But that's beside the point.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the queue with for Bisley. And I was really, really nervous because there was a guy that was before me. He was like this really cute little nerdy guy with a cardigan, and he was showing Bisley like this painted elves book. And it was like, I was like, oh God, I can't watch this because Bisley's like this hulk of a human being, like with a backspan, like massive. And he's like loud, and he drinks beer, and he's like fucking everything, and there's always like Kevin Eastman behind his shoulder going, they're like this total tag team of cute and awesome, Kevin Eastman's always like, watching Biz, and Biz is always like just leveling people, and Kevin's just like watching and finding it really amusing because Kevin's quite mild-mannered and he's really sweet, and Biz is just like a claymore, a full-scale axe. So, he is. There's no other way to describe him.
Yeah.
And so I was watching this dear young man before me hand him this elf book, and Biz was like drawing a giant Lobo face over a Hobbit scene. He's like, he's like, there you go, it looks awesome now.
I drew it in the guy's book.
It was a print. It was over a print, and the guy got the print to sign.
Oh,
And,
okay, right, yeah.
Can you sign my print? And Biz was just playing. He was like, because he's got this wicked sense of humor. Like he's funny, very funny. He's actually very sweet, deceptively. But I shouldn't say that. Will ruin his.
That's it. The mystique is blown. It's finished.
And I was there, and I had my portfolio, and I don't know if in the 90s, I think there was like me and 4 other women at the entire Comic-Con, and it was not a lot of women I could find. I mean, there was Gail, and of course Jill Thompson, who's an incredible backbone of women in comics. I got so much respect for her. I think she earns every Eisner that she gets. Gail Simone, and there was no. That's right. So accurate. So then I was. You can hear my Kiwi accent from being in New Zealand. So then I was in the line, and I had my work. I didn't want to show him because I just was he was so terrifying. He was really big and really loud and really cutting and I was very nervous. So I handed him my work, and he takes off his glasses, right? And then he puts them back on again. He looks at me like this, up and down. And then he leans back on his chair on one arm, and then goes, "What are we doing then, Lobo?" I went, "Could you look at my portfolio, please?" And he goes, "Oh, all right, then let's have a look then." And then I was like, "Oh God." And then he's looking through it quietly, saying nothing. And then after looking up to the 14th one, I thought, I can't handle it. Like, this is the guy, this is the reason I started drawing comics, because of Slain. It was just that incredible to me, and that point in my life was just like whatever he said at that point could have sent me into the heavens, spiraling into descent, and he looks up at me and he says, "There's nothing wrong with your work. Why aren't you working?" And I was like, the scene off of Amelie, where she goes into a pool of water, like psh, on the ground. I was like, oh, like that was it. I was like, if I had died the next day, I would have been all right, because it was like my hero had validated me as a comic artist, And after that point, we became friends, and met at a few Comic-Cons afterwards, because we went for beers and and hanging out with him and the heavy metal crew late into the hours of 4 or 5 a.m. was sobering, unforgettable, and slightly jarring. They were like the bad boys of comics in those days, and they were. They were wild, and no one got hurt that wasn't consenting. There was always bar fights. There was always you always had to duck from a stool getting thrown, or I was wild hanging out with heavy metal.
They're like that at the ComX headquarters. Me and Quick are always throwing stools at each other.
You always feel like a stool whipping over your head, or
I'm like, "Hey, babe, your legs look tired. Do you want a stool?" And then I pass it over to him. He sits down.
Oh, stop it! Grab that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then sorry, go.
Oh no, and so then it was quite life changing actually, because all that time that I was hanging out with heavy metal at San Diego, we're all getting quite close. I think it was me and Nate Van Dyke as well, who was incredible. We're all hanging out, learning each other's styles, but I couldn't get a lot of one-on-one time with Kevin Eastman. He was always in and out. And then I think it was after the show, after we wrapped up and everyone had gone their separate ways, I thought I'm never gonna I wanted to get into heavy metal so bad because it was such an important magazine for me at the time throughout my career and what I looked at. Because but from the early days of when it was Metal Erlant from Jean-Giraud Mobius, and then it came over to what is your eyebrow? When it
I'm just like suddenly you're French all of a sudden. I'm just like, holy shit, the mystery keeps unraveling before my very eyes.
I was talking about Mobius's Metal Hurlant days and how it was pivotal to me. Yes.
Nice.
And so for me, heavy metal was really amazing because it had that lineage of these giants of what it became, and of course I had a lot of respect for Eastman as well, and so I really wanted to be in that publication, and I think we all separated our ways after San Diego. Oh, that looks awesome!
Whoa.
I need to work harder. I'm talking too much. I know.
That's awesome, Alistair.
That's awesome, Alistair.
Thank you.
That's incredible. It's really good.
Why aren't you working then?
What is like, oh my god.
Was that a little
I'm
bit
working. I'm trying to keep the lights on as we speak. Trust me.
And so we all went our separate ways after the Comic-Con, and I thought, oh, well, that's it. That was an amazing experience. And then I was in LAX. Hey, Henrik. And then I was in LAX, and I just had this feeling. I don't know what it was. I just had this feeling that they were there. It was quite weird. And I was like, I'm just thinking that Biz and Kevin Eastman are here. And 5 minutes later, they come down the escalator. And I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. And Biz comes up in front of me, gives me a big hug, and he's like, hey, we're all just going home. I mean, San Diego is 2.5 hours away from LAX. So the odds of us being there at the same time was so odd because we'd all gone our own ways 2 days later. I know. It was incredible,
being called out.
You can't fight Kismet.
So then, Biz goes to me, you know what, Kevin, I've been trying to tell you this whole time you should see her work. She's really good. Now's a good opportunity. I have my portfolio with me, and Kevin Eastman was standing in front of me, and Simon Bisley was going, there she is. This is her work. Go and look at it. And I have my portfolio in front of me, and Kevin Eastman waiting, and I just stood there and I went, I can't show you. And he goes, what do you mean? And Biz was like, what do you mean? And I was like, it's not good enough. I said, I know what's in here is not good enough for you. I said, if you trust me, I'll go home and I'll give you something that's good enough for you and I'll send it to you. And then he was like, what are the odds? I might not check my email. I have I have secretaries that it might not get to me. This is now. You have to do this now. And I went, no, I have to do this way. And he went, well, I'm so intrigued. He said, here's my private email. And when you're done, send me what you've got.
Nice, Pete.
And that's awesome. You guys are guns.
Whoa. Going on.
That's
awesome.
so good. I'm only a quarter way through. Oh, stress.
But you're not talking a lot.
I know. So then, so I went home I was living in New Zealand at the time. And I drew this comic. I wrote, it was one of my characters, Kulan, I'd done. And I drew this comic, I think it was like a mini issue for heavy metal. and I penciled it, and then I had Simon Morse from Verotic Comics ink it. And I sent that through to him. Not good enough. It's so good. Not good enough. So then I sent it through to him, and I was very nervous. And then he emailed me back and said, "That's so good. I'm rushing you to the first print issue, the next one." I was like,
"Oh, holy shit!"
And it went,
wow. That comic you sent him was Ninja Turtles 1. Holy
Ninja Turtles. I don't play with DJs, a limited edition. No, it was, and then it was called Kulan, and it was the first time I'd gotten into heavy metal. And I had Christian Crank on colors from Tank Girl. I know, right? And it was incredible. And from that point, I had a good relationship with Kevin Eastman, and had an ongoing work relationship with heavy metal. And Bisley's doing the cover of my graphic novel as well.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we need to do a 2-part creator spotlight on KT, because we haven't even scratched the surface. I don't know. What are you doing next week?
I don't know. You've got most of it.
No, we haven't even covered. So then you came back to Australia, and then, and how do you juggle being a mum and making comics? And
oh yeah, the second part. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like a whole other. Yeah, holy moly.
Oh yeah, that's right. I have a whole life now as well.
Let's give you a chance to draw, and we'll just check in with some other people that we haven't spoken to for a while.
Okay.
Peter Lawson, son of Lawrence. What have you been up to? Where have you been? Why did you block us on Facebook and not let us invite you to a show? What's going on? What did we do?
No, that's all because I wouldn't do that. No, because I lost my job at the end of last year and started a new one in Melbourne, and I live in Gippsland in the country. So when I'm in Melbourne, I need to use, if I was going to do the show, I need to use my daughter's Wi-Fi, and it's really bad if I hook up to my phone, so I can't do it when I'm in Melbourne. And often when I'm down there, I'm working a late shift, so I don't finish till about 8 o'clock anyway.
Yeah. I've been lucky enough to see bits and pieces of what you've been working on, but can you tell us a little bit of something about what you've been working on? I know it's pretty cool.
A little bit, yeah. I'm still on Torn for Reverie. I'm currently up to doing issue 4 and 5, which I'm doing basically at the same time. Issue 3 is off innings now. So 4 and 5, I'm doing little rewrites on, just sort of tweaking the plot up a bit, sort of giving it a bit more edge. And they're coming up really, really well. Introducing a new character, a new villain as well. And they're really fun to draw. The villain based on a starfish design, and that design was from Ben Sullivan.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He designed that, so it's a brilliant design. Really bloody hard to draw. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Well, when I saw it, I wondered how. I was like, that's all very well for Ben to draw a nice pin-up of him, but Pete's the one that's got to draw him sequentially for 20 pages.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw a guy who's half starfish throwing a punch. That's hard.
I'm telling you, man, a square with 2 eyes and a circle underneath him. It's a toilet, I know, but you can make it work. It's so easy to draw.
You've got something going there, mate.
Yeah.
No, but it's a lot of fun reworking that, and there's a couple of other projects that are still on the back burner.
Yeah.
For Reverie with other creators that I am truly looking forward to getting into.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Alistair? We haven't spoken to you for a while. What have you been doing?
I'm still doing a lot of game art, mostly. To keep the lights on. I've got a couple of comics that I'm finishing up, which hopefully will appear. in future ComX Studio publications.
Hey.
Oh.
And other than that, yeah, I am hopefully going to start doing more of my own stuff and not the sort of the work for hire stuff. But yeah, while I'm earning, I'm just going to have to learn to work an awful lot harder than I do. Because some days I'll do 10 hours worth of work and some days I'll do 1, and it's really uneven. I don't think I've done the same thing on the same day any 2 days of my life. So yeah, I'm just going to have to knock those bad habits on the head and really start allocating time for work stuff and passion stuff. Because if you do too much of one or the other, you're knackered.
Have you played around with what you're going to do for your own creator and stuff?
I have so many ideas that it is impossible to choose the one that will actually sort of work, you know. And the other thing is that you can't think, well, you know, this will work, this will be successful, because as soon as you start thinking that way, you're doomed anyway. So you just have to sort of choose the thing that you feel the most. I guess the thing that you're not going to be sick of in 6 months' time.
That makes sense.
I did, like, a long time ago, I got a job doing trading cards, and I think, as I said, at the beginning, I was like, well, this is me sorted for life. And then at the end of 4 years, I was like, I can't do this anymore. No more dragons, please. So you really have to choose something that you know is not going to start wearing you down. Yeah, but it's the last 5 years have been. There you go. There you go. You can't get too comfortable.
Quick, you forgot the 4-way blow diffuser above his head, though. Come on.
I think now that I'm getting older, it's my favorite part of the body.
Your own or other people? What are we talking about?
My own. Other people. Goodness me, no.
Isn't it like
too much?
I mean, that's one of the more problem areas as you get older, isn't it? I mean,
no, not mine. Mine's in great working order so far, and I enjoy sitting on it, and it enjoys me doing that too. So, you know,
it's got its own thoughts and feelings, does it?
Yes, it does. We talk regularly.
How does it talk?
Have you ever had Naked Lunch?
Okay.
No, yeah, like I said, it's picking that thing that you're not going to get sick of in a week and then sticking with it. You know, deciding that you're going to make a commitment to something and going for it. But as I say, I also have to feed my kids.
Yeah.
I think you should do a Lobo comic, mate, after that thing you put up. I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, I'm going to be emailing Katie as soon as we get off and saying, please tell me how to get, you know, my foot in the door at heavy metal. This has been a dream of mine. Because the story that you told before, my story is very similar in that when I was a kid, I went to a boarding school and I hated it. And the only bright spot in my entire life was when 2000 AD appeared every month.
Awesome.
And one day there was this guy called Simon Bisley doing an ABC Warrior series, and it changed my life.
Yep.
It was literally the thing that made me decide, right, that's going to be me. I'm going to do that.
Exactly.
That is the thing that I will make my life around. And and that was it. You know, I was doomed from that point on because that was the future.
That's the feeling. It was that moment. It was like a lightning strike bolt in your heart, in your mind. And it was like, I describe it as meeting the love of your life. That feeling where you just know that you're going to be with that person for the rest of your life, except it's a medium, except it's a way of being in work, in your comics, in your life. Like I have... It's the longest relationship I've ever had in my life where I'm still as in love as I am the first day I started. Like, I guess, you know, like you have couples that go, so long. We're like, okay, I've had many friends. They were great. but my biggest love, my greatest love that has stood the test of time is this medium, and it has had an effective grip on me that you guys will know, that you guys know, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, it does it. I don't know what it does, but it does it, you know.
Yeah, it's. I think from that point on, nothing else really made sense.
That's exactly it.
I constantly had telling people, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. That's not going to work. There's no way that you can do that for a living. You must be sensible about this.
Yeah.
And they might as well have been speaking in a foreign language.
Yeah.
I would just stand and nod my head until they finished, and then I would just go back to what I was doing.
100%. I went to a university when I was 22 years old, and I stood in front of them trying to make the best out of my life. And I said, I want to be a comic book artist. It was RMIT.
Yeah.
And I went in front of them and I was like, this is the work that I do, you know, I want to be a comic book artist. And they said, we can teach you contemporary, traditional. And I said, no, I want to be a comic book artist. I want to be that's it. Like, I don't want to be any of those things. I thank you. They're amazing. Show me how to do this properly. And they're like, we don't know how, and you're probably not right here. And I was like, what options do I have? And they went, we don't know. There was Joe Kubert Academy that I wrote to, like, a poor person. Like, I was like, dear, I will do this for you. And they're like, oh my God. You know, I got so many kind letters back from the Joe Kubert Academy where I was like, I can also clean rooms. I can, like, and I carried their portfolio around in my bag like it was the Grail. I was like, there is a place for me. They teach you, and it's about comics. And I couldn't afford it. It was like $15,000. I couldn't get a residency.
Holy crap!
It was so expensive, but it was worth. You know, it was the place to be.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of respect for that place and what comes out of there, because they do teach the classics. You know, they teach traditional and modern contemporary storytelling in comics. So my only choice was to go back and forth to America and get mentored wherever I could at any point. And thankfully, I've met incredible people along the way that were very kind to me in this industry. And I don't see any other industry that is the same, the way that we are like that. You know, like, there's just such a sense of, like, we're all in this for this, you know, like, we're not like comic artists and like, no, like, oh, I need to be better than you. No, they're like, no, can you do it like this and like this? And, you know, we're all for the medium. And I you know, from the impression I get, and from my 20 years in this industry, I can say as a general blanket statement that we're all for the medium, you know, like, and it's like, it's a great feeling. Sorry,
Yeah.
I took it there, Alistair, go ahead.
No, not at all. So yeah, I actually took a job at a place in Melbourne. I took a place at a games job in Melbourne, a job at a games house in Melbourne, because they said they were working with Eastman and Bisley, and I went, I'll take a job, you know, and it's not very much money. I don't care.
Yeah.
Eastman and Bisley, but they were lying. They were involved with the project at some point, but then the project didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
So their involvement had long since ceased. It was called Metal Shell.
Oh, I don't know that one.
And it was, well, because it never happened. It was going to be a tank combat game, but when they got the engine together, all of the vehicles in it felt and moved like remote control cars, like RC cars. They just had that unmistakable feel. And I was like, well, guys, we could make a really great RC car game out of this, but it isn't tanks.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got to do a lot of interesting artwork with tanks and girls with unnecessarily large tits. And because I figured when in Rome.
Yeah.
the connection with Eastman and Bisley never materialized, and it was a shame because I was also brought up on heavy metal. They had a massive collection of those at Newcastle University, half of which disappeared because the Christian Coalition muscled their way in one day and burnt a lot of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is that they had? I think they had all of them, and then
Sorry
after
to
a while, they only
interrupt,
had like.
but we have to do this. What's Chris having for tea? It's our new segment of the show. What are you having for tea, Chris?
I thought I was so sneaky there. I didn't realise I was still in camera.
I've pulled the guitar up like 3 times thinking you were about to eat something, and I just saw someone delivered something. I was like, here we go. We're talking seriously, but I have to interrupt.
I'm having leftover pizza.
Leftover pizza. All right, everybody.
Oh, nothing finer.
That's this week in What's Chris Having for Tea? Stay tuned next week. All right, let's check in with someone else we haven't spoken to for a while. May I recommend that you check out ComX show on Wednesday night, just gone. Fascinating interview with one of the premier ink slingers in Australia. Welcome back to the show, the man from Chalky Ground, Lee Chalker. What have you been up to, mate?
Hey, Lee. Thank you. Not a lot, mate. I think I might have said it all on Wednesday night and burnt myself out. Just enjoying
Give us
life
the
a little
short
bit, mate.
version of the Wednesday show. Where are we at? Battle
just
for
getting
Bustle, Marathon, Rosie.
All
Where
of
are
the
we?
above. Just trying to get by and learn to get better at what I like to do, mate. So like doing a lot of study, self-reflection, just doing a lot of artwork that no one sees these days. So just trying to attempt different things, man. Really enjoying the love of inking at the moment. Doing other people's stuff, and that sort of kicked me off into a whole world of studying different noirs and black and whites, and and I guess I'm just in a really weird creative phase, man, currently. So
me too.
Yeah. You can see that, mate. You can see that.
Tanks and big tits.
Yeah. You can't beat that. That's almost a tattoo, mate. Sailor Jerry would be happy about that one. So, yeah. But no, just living life, mate. So,
That's
get
good.
through. Yeah. It's about
And Lloyd, how's Lloyd going? Lloyd with you tonight?
Yeah, Lloyd's here. Yeah, Lloyd's always here. He's tucked in over there. So is
And his
Izzy.
sister, is it Izzy?
Izzy, that's
Izzy.
correct. Yes. Yep, she's here. Yeah, she's the. Yeah, no, they're definitely here. They're just out like lights, mate. Just they're doing their thing. The red devil fish over there's, doing its thing, just floating away. So, life is normal, I suppose. So,
It's like, I've seen this edge of the tank. I've seen this side. Yep. This side. Yep.
yeah.
That's me being a fish.
Yeah, no, things are simple, mate. So, that's how I'm sort of enjoying it at the moment. So, really strip back and just staying healthy and a few life changes. And,
That's good.
Yeah, doing the thing.
Lloyd's my boy. Robbie Donaldson and
Yes.
Izzy.
Hello, Robbie. I'm sure Lloyd will poke his head up soon enough, mate. You'll see him before the end of the show. He's a camera thief, that bloody thing, I tell you, mate. You can't keep him away.
Sis, just what we were talking about a moment ago. What's the plural of tank?
I know. Tanks.
You're welcome, mate.
Hey,
I believe we've got some art to show.
Oh, yes, we have.
Maybe we should take a look at some.
Oh, hang on.
Wait. Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. There's the Red Devil himself.
I haven't drawn Lee Chalker in a long time.
Whoa.
Whoa,
Yeah.
holy for Joel.
Brilliant, mate.
Well done.
Absolutely
thank you
brilliant.
very much.
Alistair.
Wow.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I
very
don't
much.
know if you can break your hands, but okay.
Where do we post that? We're on
Straight
Discord,
heavy
does that
metal, I
go?
think. Heavy metal.
Yeah, all right.
.co.uk.
All right.
Just
On
tell
it.
them Rob sent you.
I'll do that. I'll drop your name like a bucket of spanners.
Yeah. Right in the toilet. Let's go, Diz. What do we got? Let's take a look at
I'll go back to where I was. We have Dan May Santina Lobo. I'll do it twice in case everyone can't see it.
Hey.
Well done, Dano.
Nice.
Good work, Dan.
Well
Can't
done.
do
Belt buckle.
Justice League.
Bloody brilliant.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he's got one sleeve missing and the other sleeve rolled up.
Yeah, that's the way it is, that one, mate.
Well, there you go.
Rightio.
We're all learning. And that was followed up by another Mr. May.
Oh, too many Mays in this place.
Hey.
Get rid of them.
Oh, a ripper,
You see
mate.
it?
Oh,
Of course. Expect
That's
no
amazing.
less.
Nice.
Brilliant.
love it.
I haven't seen any Nick May artwork in ages. I'm not on Instagram, so that's cool, man. Good to see you still going.
Clearly, he has a skull belt buckle because I didn't check the reference enough. I didn't do a skull belt buckle.
Well,
That's
we've got the
all.
adopted May, also known as Spedsy, next.
Honorary May.
Oh,
You
Good
go down
one.
and up. Down and up.
sorry,
sorry.
Yeah, good
Seen
one.
it.
Good one.
Oh, look at the belt buckle. What's that? Come on.
At least we know his name.
And then we have
Nice work,
Chris
Spedsy.
Ward sent one in.
Yeah, brilliant,
I didn't
Spedsy.
get to see this because the scale was
Whoa.
so... Oh, there you
Nice.
go.
Yeah.
Wow.
that's
Who's
cool.
that?
Chris Wood.
That's Lobo, Dave. Oh.
Oh,
Bandera's Lobo.
Chris Wood. Whack
It's
no,
got
mate.
it's got a Mr. Sinister vibe to it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's the
They've got-
newer Lobo, maybe? I've seen different versions of him.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Chris
And-
Wood. Thanks, Chris. That's wicked.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for sending that in. That's awesome.
Yeah,
We got
cheers,
Peter,
mate.
Lawson himself.
Oh, son of a
Nice.
Look at that. Can you see
Good
it?
one, Pete.
Down and up, sizzle down and up.
That's cool.
Classic.
Too.
Yeah, I might actually ink this one.
Hey.
Oh, these are
Nice.
nice.
I love the
Brilliant.
grove. He's got an 8-pack. Did you use me for reference, Pete, for his
Yeah, but just remembering us again.
Not using the photos. Good,
Yeah.
good.
people don't know that after the show, top off straight away for me. Quick
Well, that's
nose, look
everything
at
that you
that
sent in.
nod.
Oh,
That's a
thank you
knowing
for
nod.
comment. Sorry.
That's a knowing nod. If ever I saw one. Show us your knowing nod.
Well, should we do a little Dave Dye feature?
Please.
I think we should.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Bobby. Awesome, Angie.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What are we
wow.
doing today?
Look
See,
at
you
that.
went for the, so you went for the skull belt buckle instead of the name belt buckle that he's known for.
So you're saying you did the research? Cool.
I think it was Simon Bisley himself that said should have his name on his belt buckle. I'm paraphrasing. Dave, tell us about the pattern of your pants.
That's my Scottish. They're my jammers, mate.
Yeah.
I reckon I can
That's
give you-
great, Dave.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yeah, that's about it, really.
I
Are
can
you
give
going to
you
sign
a-
it, Dave? Can we watch
I
you
could.
sign it?
Hey?
Can we watch you sign it? Do your signature?
Okay.
Spencer's got a thing for
Hang on, I'll
signatures.
get me
And at the
pen.
same time, could you send me your bank details?
Here
Here
we
we
come.
go. Here we go, guys. I think we're going to get a V. The V. Yeah. Now you'll notice the D comes next. There we go. Yep. And we end with another E. Yep. Great. You spelled it right this
You just-
time. That's good.
That's how you
That's-
spell it.
Is it just
Yeah,
me? Is it
spell
when
it.
somebody's watching you do something you've done a billion times before? That's always the point where you fuck it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you. Would you like to see?
Yes, please.
Very much. Hey.
Do you want some music as well, or you good?
Yeah, let's get some music cracking.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
Good
Oh,
stuff.
what's written? What are
Love
the?
it.
Beautiful.
What's the letters on his chest?
Adams and Perez.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
It's homage to the masters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, not like either of the guys. Those guys wasn't an influence on me when I was a kid much.
Huh?
Those two are just such an influence on me.
Oh my gosh.
Comics, right?
They were they were like you tell them, Peter, how good they were.
I think the first comic I ever got was an Adams Batman, and
I know.
just the way he drew it, the way the cape flowed,
Oh my gosh.
particularly just blew me away. And I think
That's
he's
the
one
famous one
yeah,
with the shot of Batman running along the beach. It was a very famous
I
Neil
fully
Adams
remember the
shot.
comic. It was so long ago, and I don't have it now. But that made me look at artists in comics more than I ever had before. And from there, I started noticing the likes of Barry Windsor Smith and Perez when he came up, and just John Buscema, and the list goes on. All these guys that just drew this just amazing stuff,
They were incredible when for the worlds that like like someone was saying that Perez could fit about 40 characters in a page and you'd still be interested. You'd still know what was going on. You'd still have an idea of the pacing. They were just masters. They just, oh my gosh, they were responsible for so many of our beloved characters and the changes and and growth of so many points in my career. And I think Bill Sienkiewicz was hugely influenced by Neil Adams. I think it was his mentor as well. Like Neil Adams, he trained under Neil Adams, if I'm correct, and then he went off in his own tangent. So like all the masters that I appreciate from that period when I was in the height of comics in my mind were these guys are the structure that they built their work upon. These are the like the giants that have walked before us. So to have two go in a week was like whoa. And I know that a lot of my friends in the industry were quite thrown by that because Neil Adams specifically was just such a force, especially for rights in comics. He just was a pioneer, and just completely committed to the medium in every way. He always gave everybody that I've ever spoken to 100% of his attention, time, and dedication. He was just a force for comics, and I think that everybody in the industry didn't and couldn't believe that he would ever pass. And in a way, I feel as though it's not like he has, because there's so much work that he has left behind him, and so many major changes to our industry that can't be changed back. That he's made his mark forever. That he'll always be here with us in this industry, and same with Perez. These guys, they're forever with us. Every time we make work, every time we work, they're there. So that's why I put them on his chest, because I was like, we must always remember them. I believe,
Well, I just remember like when Perez jumped in on the Avengers, and just I don't think. Yeah, I was sort of bought so much. It was just so clean and so much life, and like you say, he could do a cover that had 20 people on it doing something, and they were all doing something, and they were all clear. And
you could see everybody interacting with everyone else. Yeah.
And and there was no two heads just sort of yakking at each other. Everything had body language. And
It's so right, Peter.
Yeah.
It's so right. And each relationship on that page was important. He never just like threw someone in. That every interaction that each character had with another one, even if they were background, was meticulous. Yeah.
There's always something going on.
Always. Yeah.
Certainly something, now that I'm getting a bit more used to doing this, that I'm trying to bring in is the sort of use of body language that those guys did. Like, even if they were, somebody was sitting there looking at a computer or something, there'd be something going on with their body. They wouldn't just be sitting there stiff. No, so I'm sort of trying to bring all that sort of stuff into it, so that even those drama scenes do it the way those guys did, where people are doing hand gestures and do have different facial expressions.
Yeah.
Instead of just sticks looking at each other.
Yeah, and the framing of the legs and the framing of the arms and the use of blacks, like Alex Toth's negative spaces, and the way he would use, like someone leaning on a chair and an arm making a triangle to make your eye go straight to the scene where her wedding ring is left on the table. Like, that is just mind-blowing mastery, that these guys think this way, that they'll frame a shot thinking about a shadow of an arm trailing your eye to the prop that you need to see that's going to make it important for the next 5 panels on. And you're like,
That's trying to frame it up there that I've just been doing.
oh my goodness, beautiful.
Nice, Pete.
Nice. Wow.
That is beautiful.
Just to get her sitting rather than sitting,
It's really good. Like, and
it's part of looking at people. Just look at people in your environment. At work, at home. How do
there's no
people
shortage of people looking at computers at work.
Yeah, but that's what you got to observe. That's what an artist's got to do: observe people and observe things. And when you're drawing something like that, think about how would a person be? What are they doing? They looking at a computer, or are they reading a book, and just put yourself in that situation and go, I'd be like that. You might even act it out yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that.
Get the feel of it, and that's what you draw. I'll tell you a good fella for that is Gene Colan. He's a great artist, and he's got he does a lot of different angles. You do a lot of bird's eye, worm view, and all different angles to keep it interesting. And he also does a lot of things like we're just talking about there, of people in natural positions while they're talking about something unrelated, but they're doing something. There might be a conversation going on, but they might be flicking through a book or picking something out of the drawer and getting their tea ready or something while they're doing it, or it's just, instead of just having people standing there, I'm guilty of doing it. People talking heads, or people just standing there talking. People don't do that.
That's my art style. Having a go at my art style, man. Just people standing there like this.
Right. And just for Alistair, Gene Colan is a famous comic book artist. We're not talking about your butt again. I assumed you heard the word Colan, thought we were talking. Anyway, I believe we've got some art, Sis, from
we have
one of our show regulars, one of our favourites, Lady Angie Spice.
Angie Spice has sent this in. Sorry, I saw the email.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, Angie.
Yeah.
Good one, Ange.
Angie does it again.
Got the colour
knee pads. That's
The
great.
Derwents.
That's good.
Real good.
Yeah, the Derwents, Dave. Nice. Yeah.
That's good.
That's wicked.
A ripper.
Awesome
Thanks,
work,
Angie.
Andy. What about you, Chris? Can we take a look at a little song?
Yeah, I'm carrying on my swimwear.
Oh, man, swimwear. Nice.
Oh, hang on. Someone else pressed it at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Sweet.
what's he got? A big
What's he
one.
say on his butt?
It says, "Bite me, fanboy."
That's awesome.
I think Dave's got the same tattoo, actually.
Bonus sketch as well.
Oh, wicked. Will that count as your the mermaid daily challenge thing?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
But yeah, there's a Lobo pin-up of him, and he's naked from the waist down, and it's from the back, and he's got "Bite Me, fanboy" written on his ass.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Very
doing that,
famous
but
cover.
I'm gonna put a speedo or a thong on him or something to cover.
I don't
up
know.
the nipple.
Yeah.
If you look at that cover again, I don't know. Apocryphally, it says that he deliberately put a big schlonger
Oh, he
hidden
did.
in
On
his
his
hidden in the
elbow,
in the
yeah.
folds of his elbow. You should have a look at that.
Oh, really? I've got it
Oh,
up.
look at that.
His
He got
wiener.
told off.
I can,
He always does that stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. He got in trouble.
Well, he
He got
would
trouble.
They told him off. Yeah, big time.
You've nearly ticked all the boxes this week, Alistair. We've done tits, ass, and now what did you call it? Schlonger. We've only got one left.
Yes, we've been wandering all over the anatomical landscape.
Yeah.
Arse and elbows.
And we need to check in with our favorite animator, he of the Sloppy Tunes. I believe this week we are going to see Lobo bring to us an Australian character of some sort. Is that right,
Correct.
Sid?
That is correct. And I just realized I left a comment up.
Let's take a look at Alex Major's Lobo.
Lobo this week.
Hey.
Cool.
Hey!
Yeah, but
Hairbutt the hippo on his back.
but
Not quite as violent as last week's, strangely enough.
no blood.
Yeah, got the
No
wrong belt
snagging
buckle, but that's
out.
all right.
Lobo survives this one, unlike Magneto did last week. He did not survive the introduction of the Aussie character.
Yeah,
I can't actually see that.
one was,
I'm not getting that on my screen. Is that going to be posted in the
Oh.
live pics page?
Yeah, it will be
you see it
posted.
now or no?
Sweet. No, can't see it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you using your eyes or?
I'm trying.
I'm
Like I said, they're
One
not that
last
great.
person to pick on. One last person to pick on.
Oh, Angie, I think that's a comment for you, Dave. Not sure.
I agree with Angie.
Well,
you,
we
Mr.
might.
Chalker? No, Mr.
Oh,
Chalker.
sorry, of course. How could I forget the Chalkmeister General?
Yeah.
I'm
This will
just
be
sitting
ready.
back, man. I'm just nice to be here and listen to other people talk while I'm drawing. Oh yeah, I sent Sis a message, but there you go.
Oh, really? I missed it. I don't know where it's gone.
Yeah. Oh, he's on
Oh,
the
wicked, the
motorbike.
space hog as well.
mate.
that's cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Big job doing
Great.
that, mate.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
great.
There you go.
Yeah. Want to see that one inked?
What I look forward to is if we all, if all of us illustrators go for the same gig and we all bring our portfolio and it's in the same order of like we all have a Magneto picture for yeah, what do you reckon, Sis? Should we take us into the last thingamajig?
Yeah, I'll let you do it if you want.
This poor person is looking through the newspaper for info on what projects our artists have been working on. And this lost individual is using a map to find where she can follow our artists on social media and buy their books. How about we save them the trouble and just tell them? We call this next segment Shameless Self-Promotion.
I'll go first because mine is nice and easy. I get to pop up a little thing on the bottom that says ComX shop. Go there, get comics from lots of different people, all for one flat rate, postage rate that is. Yeah, so go there, get some comics. For people interested in stocking their comics with me, get in contact with me through social media or a few other places that I can't think off the top of my head. Just find me. Yeah, that'll do. Just find me.
Fine you, like the tax department is doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm privy to backstage information. The IRS is coming for Sizzle's head.
Yeah,
I
pretty
believe
much.
they're the American tax department, so that's the
Yeah,
kind
I
of trouble
don't
he's
know
in.
what that's all about.
Yeah. You can find me at Spedsy on all social medias. Even that MAGA one, you can find me on there, kicking it with the Trumpsters. No, you can't. I don't even know what that is.
You're trying to destroy them from the inside, presumably.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I have some new books out. Pete's got one right there.
Nice.
You can find them. Oh, that one. And I am 8 pages into the new Sluggish #2.
Well
So
done.
this story ain't stopping.
All
Go
right.
to psychojanitor.com
I
and
feel like that.
catch up, because everybody loves depression, anxiety, and slugs. Get into it. Quick.
I've had such a quiet night, so I'll have a quick little one. You can find my work at detectivebudgie.com. Get clucked. Peter.
Yeah, it's all through Reverie. So just jump on the Reverie Publications website and their store to grab Torn, or hit them up through Facebook.
Done and done. Alistair.
Nothing to plug as such, but you could always visit the website. It's alistairlockhart.net. And yeah, if you like dual matching games, and you can do a lot worse than Puzzle Quest 3, fantasy RPG role-playing gem matching. Better than it sounds.
Are there dragons?
Lots of dragons. God almighty. Lots and lots of dragons. Of all different types. Ice dragons, fire dragons, gem dragons, tree dragans.
Dragons.
Steampunk mechanical dragons.
Wow.
Yeah.
The bark is worse than their bite, the tree dragons.
That's you're ready for fatherhood. The force is strong with this
I hope
one.
so, because I already have kids. So
just
become ready.
Now you're ready for it.
You hear that, kids? I'm ready.
There you go. Hashtag world's finest dad jokes.
Yeah. I'll have to get them to move back in. They're 27. But anyway. Hey, what? You can find... Hey!
Nice.
He of Bin Kitty fame, you can find Duncan Prenavicius. Just type in his name because I don't know what it is. Chernobyl, talk to us. He did text me separately and said that his internet is dying and he can hear us.
Oh, okay.
Vermouth 3, I see that a lot of people accidentally got the wrong cover. So when you go to psychojanitor.com, just order the Nick May cover. A lot going on in my life artistically, but I've had to sign NDAs for just about everything.
Oh, wow.
So look for me on... I haven't had to sign an NDA ever. Look for me on Instagram at Chernobyl, and I
the radiation from
that's my name soon. But over to enough about me.
Mr. Pecan.
You can head to chrispitken.com, which currently takes you to my Instagram. You can also find my work at NSKane ComX, where I do Fox and Hound and Hal Corson, and you can also go to Segment Studio, where I illustrate wolf cubs.
Oh, yes. That Kickstarter just finished up not long ago, right?
Yeah, not long ago.
Awesome.
Great comic.
What about you, Mr. Chalker?
Battleforbustle.com. You can find me, Lee Chalker, on Facebook. You can find Battle for Bustle on Facebook. You can find me Saturday mornings on Comics Unbound with me good mate Dustin Brunel.
Nice.
Yarning to, everyone, anywhere, every corner of the galaxy, I guess. and yeah, just drawing. So I'm always available. So that's me.
Awesome. Dave.
Right. All right. My stuff's in the ComX shop and owner Indy. This is at the printers now.
Oh, awesome.
Want.
Stories,
Hashtag want.
4 stories there.
Put it in my bag.
Got colour section in the middle. Colour story in the middle.
Very nice.
Oh, yes. This is the tricky one.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Black and white, the rest of it.
Oh.
Anyway,
You trickster.
that should be ready soon. I don't know. But
Can't wait.
while I'm waiting for that to come back from the printer, I'm working on my next one. I've got 20 pages drawn. This is the, I don't know if you can see that, the legend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're
Legend
talking
Howard
about
from Grendel. So I'm
20
doing
pages
this-
already, Dave.
Yeah, done 20 pages.
your machine.
So I'm working in graphite.
Oh,
I usually
Alistair.
work in blue line,
See Alistair there.
but I've gone for graphite just to do, you got to do something different. So I just thought I'd do graphite this time. So yeah, that hopefully I'll start inking that before next week, probably be inking it by next week. So that's it from me. Over to Katie.
I'm working on. I just finished the last page of Dark Heart, so that's in the colorist right now. And that's very exciting. The colors are coming back, looking incredible. We're all very excited at Ice Cream Productions and Gestalt Publishing. Scott Wilson, First Nations writer. Of course, it's an amazing comic about Aboriginal dreaming superheroes and the Indigi universe, which is like it's like a Marvel universe except made out of the dreaming of Aboriginal mythos, which is so fun to draw. Incredible.
Where is that coming out? That sounds fantastic.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like I read the script and I was like, oh, this is incredible. Like, and I'm pioneering, these Aboriginal writers. Wow. Like they're also doing a lot of other things. In Perth, fossil fuels, all kinds of changing into like renewables, and that, I don't know, they're just a machine of awesomeness. And, this is one of their extensions as well. And Scott Wilson just churns out these incredible stories. And I'm just about to start on issue 2 of that. So we'll just wrap that up, and I'm getting the edits on those last 4 pages now. I have been working on a comic for a band in America, which I can't talk about, who are so big that it takes a long time to try and get any kind of corrections, editorials, and things like that. And I have an NDA on that one, so I can't really talk about it. But
if it's Pearl Jam, can you blink twice?
No,
Is
it's
it
not
Kiss?
Pearl Jam. It's not
Okay.
Pearl Jam. I can say that.
Is it Kiss? It's
Because-
Kiss, isn't it?
Gotta be Kiss.
Because after Alistair's email about getting him into heavy metal, you'd get an email from me saying, "Can I meet Eddie Vedder and draw a picture for you?"
It's a popular band, and it will be. You'll find out sooner than later, and that is great and amazing. But I have been drawing to the point of lunacy. I have been because I've been doing a double deadline, so I've been doing one comic in the day and one at night, and a diploma, and parenting 2 children by myself. It's been a bit nuts, but it's been incredible as well, because the 2 stories that I was working on Dark Heart, and it was so powerful, and all this Aboriginal dreaming, and then the other comic in America, which was visceral and feminine, and leak.
Spice Girls, confirmed.
Yeah, there's a leak though. You can go on your own tangents with that. So those are the comics for sale. You can go to Stop Publishing for links to that. For when we're going to launch Dark Heart in June, if everything goes tight and it's all wrapped up at Oz Comic Con. That's our aim. We're going to have a booth at Oz Comic Con. We've been invited with that. So hoping, fingers crossed, everything will be ready by then. Looks like it will. Justin Randall's on colors. It's mind blowing. And pinups, commercial work, the gamut.
All right.
Well, busy.
For those playing at home, please feel free to send us your recommendations on who we should be drawing next week and in the coming weeks. If you are an artist or your friend's an artist or anything like that, tell them to reach out. Let's get them on the show. Let's take a look at their stuff and let's all draw together. We are here every Friday. We are back in the saddle, ready to go. So we will see you next week. Same ComX channel, same something. Nice belt buckle, Pete. If you like the show at all, please feel free to go check out any of our artists and maybe pick up a book or two. If you would like something drawn, if you like yourself a commission or so, please don't be shy to reach out to one of the people from our show. And other than that, ComX shop.
Yeah.
Fix you up with some goodies, and that's our show. What do you reckon? Quick? Are we done?
I think Lee Chalker has to sign us off. I like putting him on the spot.
All right. Thanks for everyone watching Friday Night Drink and Draw, and you all have a very wonderful weekend, and much sunshine to you. So good evening.
Great.
Cheers, all.
Me.
See ya.
The show has died. It is dead. But in 1 week, like a phoenix, it will rise again. So stop the crying at once. Instead, head to comx.shop and dry your tears on a copy of Amazing Tales by Dave Dye. The Devil's Toilet by Spedsy. ComX Presents featuring Ed Kearsley, Tony Menzie, Duncan Pranavicius, Peter Wilson, Lee Chalker, Zach George, and so much more. The list is longer than this outro. See you next Friday for more drinking and drawing. Alright Sizzle, press the button. Sizzle. Don't make me come over there and butter your crumpet. Sizzle, doink the thing. I shouldn't have to scold you like this in front of your friends. Slap your honk on the thing. Sizzle, I can see your cupcakes. I mean,